The sun hung low over the dusty plains of Arizona, painting the horizon in hues of gold and blood orange. A weary cowboy named Jacob Ryder rode his old stallion, Duke, through the endless wilderness, the echoes of the wind whispering tales of the forgotten past. Jacob was a man of silence and sorrow, his heart heavy from the losses of the war and the loneliness that followed him like a ghost. He wasn't searching for anything that day, only moving where the wind took him. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. As he passed near the edge of a ravine, he heard a faint cry carried by the breeze, a soft, trembling voice, more like a wounded spirit than a person. He stopped, tilting his hat to listen. There it was again, a child's voice calling weakly. Without hesitation, Jacob dismounted and moved toward the sound. What he found stopped his heart. Lying half buried in dust and leaves was a young Apache girl, no older than 10, her small frame frail and her eyes glazed with exhaustion. Her clothes were torn, her skin marked by the desert sun. She had clearly been wandering for days. "Easy now," Jacob said softly, kneeling beside her. She flinched at his touch, her eyes filled with fear. "No hurt," he whispered gently, offering his canteen. After a long hesitation, she took a sip, then another, her trembling hands clutching the water, as if it were life itself. Jacob lifted her carefully and placed her on his horse. "You're safe now, little one," he murmured, as Duke began the slow walk toward his cabin hidden deep in the canyon. By the time they reached his small wooden home, the sun had vanished, and the desert had turned cold. Jacob laid her by the fire and cooked a little soup. She didn't speak, only watched him with wary eyes, like a frightened animal unsure if it should trust the hand that fed it. Over the next few days, Jacob cared for her, gave her food, warmth, and safety. Slowly she began to speak. Her name was Naya. Her family had been caught in a raid by outlaws who hunted natives for bounty. She escaped, but lost her tribe and wandered for days until she collapsed. Her words cut deep into Jacob's heart. He had seen cruelty before, but hearing it from a child brought back the ache of everything he had tried to forget. From that moment, Jacob made a silent promise. He would not let her be another forgotten soul of the desert. Days turned to weeks. Naya began to smile again, her laughter echoing through the canyon like a song long lost. She helped Jacob with the horses, learned to cook beans over the fire, and even rode Duke with a confidence that surprised him. In her eyes, Jacob saw a reflection of his younger self. Strong, brave, but scarred by life's cruelty. One evening as they sat watching the sun dip behind the red cliffs, Naya asked softly, "Why did you help me?" Jacob looked at her, his voice low and filled with emotion. "Because once, I was the one who needed help, and no one came. Maybe saving you is how I make peace with the ghosts I carry." Tears welled in her eyes as she leaned against his shoulder. "Then maybe I was meant to find you," she whispered. But peace never lasts long in the wild. One morning, Jacob spotted horse tracks near the cabin. Fresh ones, outlaws, the same men who had raided Naya's tribe. That night they came. Jacob woke to the crack of a rifle and the sound of Duke's frightened neigh. He grabbed his revolver and pushed Naya under the table. "Stay quiet," he ordered. Bullets shattered the windows. Jacob fired back, taking down one of the raiders, but there were too many. He was hit in the shoulder yet kept fighting, his eyes burning with rage. When all seemed lost, a single cry pierced the night. Naya's. She had snuck behind one of the outlaws and struck him with a burning log from the fire. The distraction gave Jacob his chance. He pulled the trigger, ending the fight. Silence returned to the canyon, broken only by the crackling fire and the labored breathing of a wounded cowboy. As dawn broke, Jacob sat outside, his arm bandaged, watching Naya feed the horses. She looked back at him and smiled. The same smile that once belonged to the free children of the plains. "You'll be all right now," he said softly. "You've got strength in you, girl, more than I ever did." Naya hugged him tightly, whispering, "You'll be my family now." Jacob felt a warmth inside him, one he hadn't felt in years. The wind blew gently across the desert, carrying with it a whisper of peace. So the cowboy who had once been lost found his purpose again in a forgotten Apache girl's smile. Their story became one of redemption, courage, and the healing power of kindness, a reminder that sometimes saving one soul can save two. If this story touched your heart, remember to subscribe to the channel, because every story we share carries a spark of hope, a message of humanity, and a reason to believe that goodness still rides the open plains.